welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and welcome to July. I am very much looking forward to July. Hubby has some time off, and book club is reading Love in the Eternal City by Rebecca W. Martin, and I cannot wait to start, y'all. I'm literally so excited about a reread. I am shocked. It's very much not like me. So, today we are going to do the July tag, and I promise it will be shorter than June. So, the monthly holidays. For July are interesting. Let's just put it that way. So it is National Blueberry Month. I love me a good blueberry, so I am all for that. It is also, as you can imagine, it's National Grilling Month. It's National Hot Dog Month. It is National Deli Salad Month. Family Golf Month. And let's pick one more from this extensive list. National Parks and Recreation Month. I thought that one was fun. I love me a good national park. There are some weekly holidays in July. There are far fewer than I anticipated. And some of them I just can't get behind, but I can get behind this one. That would be Clean Beaches Week, which is the 1st through the 7th of July. And this one amused me greatly. Capture the Sunset Week, which runs from the 21st to the 27th of July. Which brings us to Lindsay's favorite week of the year. That would be Shark Week, which runs from the 21st through the 28th of July this month. And I, surprisingly, have a couple of Shark Week recommendations just for Lindsay. I don't care about Shark Week. I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Shark Week. So, obviously, sharks are not my favorite ocean critter, but that's okay. First up, and it's a whopping 208 pages, is Meg, Terror of the Deep. It is the first in the Meg series, and it's a 7-book series. And surprisingly, it is very well reviewed. Its average on Amazon is 4.3, and it's a 3.8 on Goodreads. So it has a very brief blurb. So I'll read you the very brief blurb. 7 years ago, and 7 miles below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Jonas Taylor encountered something that changed the course of his life. Once a Navy deep-sea submersible pilot, now a marine paleontologist, Taylor is convinced that a remnant population of Carcharodon megalodon, murdered that, prehistoric sharks growing up to 70 feet long that subsisted on whales, lurks at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Offered the opportunity to return to those crushing depths in search of the Megs, Taylor leaps at the chance, but his quest for scientific knowledge and personal vindication becomes a desperate fight for survival. When the most vicious predator on Earth, the most vicious predator the Earth has ever known, is free to once again hunt the surface. This is one of those stupidly priced Kindle books. It is priced at $10 for 208 pages. Yeah, when the paperback is $10.83, I'm going to tell you that if you're interested to go buy the paperback. Next up is a beloved classic. I know many people hate this book, but it is truly I loved this book. That is The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. It's a whopping 160 pages. It is included on Kindle Unlimited, and I will read you the short blurb. The story of a down on his luck Cuban fisherman and his supreme ordeal, a relentless, agonizing battle with a giant marlin far out in the Gulf Stream, has been cherished by generations of readers. And you're asking yourself, Tammy, it is a book about the marlin. And yes, it is. But there is a shark in this book that remains very elusive for our old man as he sits on the sea. And this secured Hemingway for me as just one of those authors I love. Just that epic battle on the ocean was terrific. Okay, last up for Shark Week is a nonfiction. That is The Secret History of Sharks, The Rise of the Ocean's Most Fearsome Predators. This is by John Long. It is 480 pages. It was released last year, and I'm not going to read you the description. The book is right here. I'll read you a little bit of the tagline. From ancient megalodons to fearsome great whites, this book tells the complete, untold story of how sharks emerged as the Earth's ultimate survivors by world-leading paleontologist John Long. So, that, ladies and gentlemen, is Shark Week. Next up would be the the 1st of July, and that is the feast of St. Peter and Paul. And I have two recommendations for this. I purchased the first one immediately after finishing my first ever book by him. That is The Big Fisherman by Lloyd C. Douglas. I own this on Kindle, and this quite simply is the story of Simon Peter. That's all the blurb says on Goodreads. That's all I needed to know. I really loved The Robe. It is a classic. I'm looking forward to this. Okay, so the next book I have is a novel about St. Paul. That is Great Lion of God by Taylor Caldwell. And this one is 654 pages. I do not own this one yet, but I shall. As I recall, she has another book. Yeah, this is she has a biblical trilogy. It includes Dear and Glorious Physician and I, Judas. So she writes beautifully, but it's very dense. However, it is storytelling you want to take your time with, and I love her ability to craft a story. I will read you the blurb for this one. Born a veritable great lion of God to a devout Jewish family, Saul of Tarsus is raised by his parents to embrace their love of humanity. Dogged by what he perceives as a lack of true faith, he embarks on a journey to save his people from sacrilege. But on the road to Damascus, a vision of a resurrected Jesus changes the course of his life. Converting to Christianity, the newly christened Paul transforms from persecutor of blasphemers into the apostle of Gentiles, becoming one of the supreme influences on the Catholic Church and the Western world. Great Line of God paints a unique and very human portrait of St. Paul, one of the most passionate, dauntless, and complex figures of early Christianity. Pharisee, lawyer, theologian, and above all, a man like ourselves with our own despairs, doubts, anxieties, and angers, and intolerances, and lusts of the flesh. And I am greatly looking forward to this. Okay, the 4th of July. I know what you were expecting, but we're going to choose Alice in Wonderland Day. Um, I thought when I chose Alice in Wonderland Day, this would be easy. There would be a vast number of Alice in Wonderland retellings. No, there are not. There are either some incredibly very dark ones or almost nothing. I did find some that I will share. I know first up would be The Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella. Hello, baby girl. And I think Amanda has read this over Book Lover Amanda. And I'll read you a little bit of the blurb. Solve the clues, face your fears, survive the trials. All Alice Liddell wants is to escape her normal life in Oxford and find the parents who abandoned her 10 years ago. But she gets more than she bargained for when her older sister Charlotte is arrested for having the infamous Wonder Gene, the key to unlocking the curious Wonderland reality. Soon, Alice receives a rather cryptic invitation to play for Team Heart in this year's annual, and often deadly, Wonderland Trials. Now she has less than 24 hours to find her way into Wonderland, where nothing is impossible, or what it seems. It sounds interesting. As we all know, I am not a great lover of fairy tale retellings, so while I'm interested, I don't know that I'm motivated. Okay, next up would be Beware the Little White Rabbit. This is a anthology, and it is based obviously on Alice. Read you a little bit of the blurb. Curiosity often leads to trouble. 13 powerful voices in young adult fiction invite you to journey into startling new wonderlands in this nod to the 150th anniversary of Lewis Carroll's timeless character Alice. Mystery, madness, mayhem. Each story will intrigue, bewitch, and enchant. Through rich historicals, castles, keeps, wild wormholes, secret workshops, deadly plagues, and gritty urban explorations, we present new tales of Alice and her white rabbit. It at least, sounds a little intriguing. Okay, next up for Alice would be Down the Rabbit Hole by Peter Abrams. This is the first book in the Echo Falls series, and has a very short blurb, so I'll read you the blurb. Welcome to Echo Falls, home of 1,000 secrets. Ingrid is in the wrong place at the wrong time, or at least her shoes are, and getting them back will mean getting tangled up in a murder investigation as complicated as the mysteries solved by her idol Sherlock Holmes. With soccer practice, schoolwork, and the lead role in her town's production of Alice in Wonderland, Ingrid is swamped. But as things in Echo Falls keep getting curiouser and curiouser, Ingrid realizes she must solve the murder on her own before it's too late. It sounds very interesting. It sounds, as you would expect, right up my alley, but it's young adult fiction, and I am not necessarily the biggest fan of that genre. So, next up would be the 6th of July, an International Kissing Day. And these were easy to choose from. I have a couple of recommendations. Obviously, Love in the Eternal City would fit here, but I didn't choose it. I did, however, choose How to Kiss Your Best Friend by Jenny Proctor. This is the first book in the Hawthorne Brothers series. I am not going to read you the blurb for this one. Just know it is a great, fantastic rom-com that everybody should go read. Available on Kindle Unlimited. Next, I actually have this book upstairs and I didn't pull it. That is The Irresistible Blueberry Bake Shop and Cafe by Mary Sims. This would obviously work in July really well, being National Blueberry Month. So, there is a Hallmark movie based on this book as well, which I absolutely recommend. And I know I've read this blurb before, but I'll read you a little bit of it. High-powered Manhattan attorney finds love, purpose, and the promise of a simpler life in her grandmother's hometown. Ellen Branford is going to fulfill her grandmother's dying wish to find the hometown boy she once loved and give him her last letter. Ellen leaves Manhattan and her Kennedy-esque fiancé for Beacon, Maine. What should be a one-day trip is quickly complicated when she almost drowns in the chilly bay and is saved by the local carpenter. The rescue turns Ellen into something of a local celebrity, which may or may not help her unravel the past her grandmother labored to keep hidden. As she learns about her grandmother and herself, it becomes clear that a 24-hour visit to Beacon may never be enough. I haven't read the book, but I will tell you, I absolutely love that movie, and yeah. Yep. That brings us to A Game of Hearts by Joanna Baker. This is the first book in the Cartwell series. This is Regency era. It is very unique in the Regency genre. It is funny. It is sports-based. There's a little bit of a mystery. This is just a fantastic read. I'm not going to read you the blurb. I know I've talked about this one before, but yes, absolutely go read this one. And last up would be The Buy-In by Jenny Proctor. Not Jenny Proctor, Emma St. Clair. This is the first book in Love in Sheet Cake, Texas series. And this was my introduction to Emma. It made me fall in love with Emma as a writer. And if you love football and family stories and characters with depth, then yes, go. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Go read it. You will not be unhappy. I misspoke. Last up would be, I have this book upstairs and I didn't grab it either. That would be The Fix Up by Sharon M. Peterson. This is the third book in the Two Hearts Texas series. They can all be read independently. This just released in June. I so want to read this, but I've been having nothing I pick up has been working lately. I'm not in a slump. I'm just, nothing is working and I don't want to take this book. So, the premise is our protagonists jointly get left a house. They have to, live in it for a year before they can sell it. Or is it 6 months? Anyway, it's a Sharon book. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to cry. It's going to be funny. It's just going to be fantastic. And hopefully I read it this week or next. Hopefully. Go away, Mr. Wasp. Next up is the 14th of July, which is Bastille Day, and I grabbed 3 French books. First would be The Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Emma Orcsay. I have not read this book, shockingly. This is a classic. I get it off Kindle. It's 213 pages, so there's no excuse for me not having read it. It is set during the French Revolution, and from everything I have heard, that is all I know about this book. That's all I want to know going in. It is the start of a series. It is excellent. Yeah, I need to do wasp nest checking. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Okay, next up would be The Queen's Fortune by Alison Pataki. I think I've read one book by her, and it was an absolute miss for me. But I'm willing to give her another try, and this is probably the one I'm going to do it with. I will read you some of the blurb. As the French Revolution ravages the country, Desiree Clary is faced with the life-altering truth that the world she has known and loved is gone, and it's fallen on her to save her family from the guillotine. A chance encounter with Napoleon Bonaparte, the ambitious and charismatic young military prodigy, provides her answer. When her beloved sister Julie marries his brother Joseph, Desiree and Napoleon's futures become irrevocably linked. Quickly entering into their own passionate and dizzying courtship that leads to a secret engagement, they vow to meet in the capital once his career has been secured. But her newly laid plans with Napoleon turn to sudden heartbreak thanks to the rising star of Parisian society, Josephine de Beauharnais. I always murder her last name. Once again, Desiree's life is turned on its head. Sign me up. I own this one. This is Madame Tussaud by Michelle Moran, and it's 446 pages. And I will read you a little bit of this blurb. The world knows Madame Tussaud's wax artist as a wax artist extraordinaire. But who was this woman who became one of the most famous sculptresses of all time? In these pages, her tumultuous and amazing story comes to life. The year is 1788, and a revolution is about to begin. Smart and ambitious, Marie Tussaud has learned the secrets of wax sculpting by working alongside her uncle in their celebrated wax museum, the Salon d'Essai. From her popular model of the American ambassador, Thomas Jefferson, to her tableau of the royal family at dinner, Marie's museum provides Parisians with the very latest news on fashion, gossip, and even politics. Her customers hail from every walk of life, yet her greatest dream is to attract the attention of Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI. Their stamp of approval on her work could catapult her and her museum to the fame and riches she desires. After months of anticipation, Marie learns that the royal family is willing to come and see their likenesses. When they finally arrive, the king's sister is so impressed that she requests Marie's presence at Versailles as a royal tutor in wax sculpting. It's a request Marie knows she cannot refuse, even if it means time away from her beloved salon and her increasingly dear friend, Henri Charles. I'm hooked. I need to know more. Okay, next up would be the 24th of July, and that is Amelia Earhart Day. And I was expecting there to be much more Amelia fiction than there was. So first up is a nonfiction that is Amelia Earhart by Doris L. Rich. It is 344 pages, and I will read you the blurb. She died mysteriously before she was 40. Yet in the last decade of her life, Amelia Earhart soared from obscurity to fame as the best-known female aviator in the world. She set record after record, among them the first transatlantic solo flight by a woman, a flight that launched Earhart on a double career as a fighter for women's rights and a tireless crusader for commercial air travel. Doris L. Rich's exhaustively researched biography downplays the "what happened to Amelia Earhart" myth by disclosing who Amelia Earhart really was: a woman of 3 centuries, born in the 19th, pioneering the 20th, and advocating ideals and dreams relevant to the 21st. This will be nonsense-free. It was first published in 1996. Okay, next up is a children's book recommendation, believe it or not. That is I Am Amelia Earhart by Brad Meltzer. It's a picture book. He has an entire series entitled Ordinary People That Changed the World. They're picture books for children. And the tagline for the entire series is, "We can all be heroes." That's the inspiring message of this lively collectible picture book biography series from Metzler. And I love his adult stuff. If I had kids, they would own all of these, or kids of the appropriate age, they would own all of these. So I feel comfortable recommending this. Okay, next up is a series I haven't read, didn't know about, and now I need to own it. I own, I think, like the 4th book in this series, but not the other ones. That is Wings in the Dark by Michael Murphy. This is the 3rd book in the Jake and Laura mystery series. And I will read you the tagline for this. Witty and stylish in the classic Dashiell Hammett tradition, Michael Murphy's latest high-flying Jake and Laura mystery features a Hawaiian honeymoon that is interrupted when their friend Amelia Earhart is accused of murder. That's all I needed to read. I was immediately interested, and I need to know, so I am going to read that one. Okay, next up would be the 25th of July. And that is something called Thread the Needle Day. So, thread the needle can, literally mean threading the needle. It could mean, taking a leap of faith and setting forth on adventures you didn't think you were capable of. So I chose a wide variety of titles. I'm not going to talk about any of these in great detail. First up would be Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I have read this one. It's the first book in the Robert Langdon series, of which the Da Vinci Code is part. This one is fantastic. I highly recommend reading the series in order, even though the Da Vinci Code is by far the most recognizable book in the series. This is... it's a Dan Brown book. What more do I need to say? Honestly, who hasn't... If the camera's shaking, I'm sorry. Kahlua is panting and she's up against the table. Okay, next up is The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. This is the first book in the Hell's Library trilogy, and I found these at my library. I've read the entire trilogy. I absolutely loved them. They are told from a very unique perspective. I will read you the blurb for this one. In the first book of the brilliant new fantasy series, books that aren't finished by their authors reside in the Library of the Unwritten in Hell. And it is up to the librarian to track down any restless characters who emerge from those unfinished stories. Many years ago, Claire was named head librarian of the Unwritten Wing. A neutral space in hell where all the stories unfinished by their authors reside. Her job consists mainly of repairing and organizing books, but also of keeping an eye on restless stories that risk materializing as characters and escaping the library. When a hero escapes from his book and goes in search of his author, Clara must track and capture him with the help of a former muse and current assistant Brevity and nervous demon courtier Lieto. But what should have been a simple retrieval goes horrifyingly wrong when the terrifying angelic Ramiel attacks them, convinced that they hold the Devil's Bible. The text of the Devil's Bible is a powerful weapon in the power struggle between heaven and hell. So it falls to the librarians to find a book with the power to reshape boundaries between heaven, hell, and earth. Now, is this going to appeal to everyone? No. But I truly enjoyed this series. It's creative, it's unique setting, it was entertaining, and I loved it. So, there you go. Next up would be Threading the Needle by Marie Bostwick. This is the fourth book in the Cobbled Quartz Quilt series, and it is 368 pages. And I'm just going to read you the first paragraph of the description. The economic downturn has hit New Bern, Connecticut, and Tessa Woodruff's herbal apothecary shop, For the Love of Lavender, is suffering. So is her once happy 34-year marriage to Lee. They'd given up everything to come back to New Bern from Boston and start their business. But now they're wondering if they made the right decision. To relieve the strain, Tessa signs up for a quilting class at the Cobbled Court Quilt Shop, and to her surprise, rediscovers the power of sisterhood, along with childhood friends she thought she lost forever. I love Marie's writing, so this is a series I need to read. And sorry, my yard is filled with strange birds. Okay. Next up is one I recently picked up. That is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This is the first book in the Dandelion Dynasty Quartet. I own it on Kindle. It is 641 pages. I know it is somewhere in the grimdark fantasy spectrum. I'm not sure where. I know everybody that has read this has loved it. I am looking forward to it. I have not started it yet. I will read you just the blurb. Two men rebel together against tyranny and then become rivals. In this first sweeping book of an epic fantasy series from Ken Liu, hailed as one of the best books of 2015 by NPR. And yes, I agree. If NPR recommends it, is generally not something I'm going to gravitate towards, but readers I trust have loved this book and the entire series. So, NPR notwithstanding, I'm going to read it. Next up would be A Touch of Light by Tiago Abdella. This is the first book in the Ashes of Avron series. I own the entire series. And this is fantasy. And I'll read you a little bit of the blurb. The worthy are immortal. To die is a sin. But in a tide of madness and ruin, life is a fragile thing. By the way, this is available on Kindle Unlimited. Lynn, a rogue Griffin writer, has uncovered a deadly madness that threatens to destroy the domain. She can't escape this enemy, but to fight it, Lynn must risk being found and branded a traitor by her old order. Prince Adrian has never been pious or on good terms with his father. After losing those closest to him, however, he must either work with the king or convince the church to deem his loved ones worthy if they are to have a chance at resurrection. In the clan lands, where death is considered a necessity, Nasha fights to prove she belongs. A cursed hunter and a lifelong outcast, she has always struggled. But when the land itself begins to wither away, Nasha might be the only answer. It's another one of those I keep meaning to read, and I haven't yet, but I want to. Okay, last up is another children's book, although it'd be older children. It's a chapter book. It's 80 pages. It is A Boy Who Became Pope. The story of St. John Paul II by Fabiola Garza. This is obviously Catholic fiction. His name was Carol, but everyone called him Lolik. He was a boy who enjoyed the outdoors, starred in plays, and dreamed of doing great things. He was a boy who lost almost everything and everyone he loved. But then Lolik discovered a greater love, and he grew up to become a great saint. Meet Lolik, the boy who became St. John Paul II, and learn how you too can become a saint. Weird grammar choices here. This updated edition of a beloved classic is now includes a timeline of the life of St. John Paul II and an epilogue summarizing his unforgettable legacy as Pope. And unforgettable legacy as Pope is a very apt description. Okay. Next, we come to the 30th of July. That is International Friendship Day. And I have a couple of recommendations I got from my friends. So, from Amanda, and all of these are their current favorite books. And if they have reviews on their channels, I will link those reviews in the description box down below. First up would be The Lawyer and the Laundress by Christine Hill Sunts. This is Amanda's current favorite book. It is a brand new release. It is Christian fiction, and I will read you the little blurb. Lawyer James Kinney isn't looking for love, and laundress Sarah O'Connor doesn't want to be found. When their paths cross in a British colony on the brink of rebellion, a marriage of convenience may be their hope of survival. This one is set in Canada. We don't get a lot of books set in Canada. Next up would be Chrissy's current favorite read. That is Ariandre and the Legend of the Fire Rose. This is the first book in the Land of Fiora series, and it is available on Kindle Unlimited. It's 386 pages, and it is by Christy A. Cole, who I know has a YouTube channel, so I will link her channel down below. I will read you the first couple of lines of the description. Audrey never expected that the last thing her mother would ever say to her would lead her to a mysterious manor in the middle of the woods. Desperate and alone, she finds herself at the mercy of the people that live there. She quickly learns that it's not just any manor. It's a school for girls that teaches weaponry. With nowhere else to go, Ariadne decides to enroll in the school. But as time goes on, a darkness creeps in from the forest. People are disappearing without a trace, vicious animal packs are growing, and strange markings are appearing on trees. It sounds interesting, and I know that Chrissy, among others, has truly loved this book. So, that is Chrissy's recommendation. Next up would be Lauren, and her current favorite book is Molly Saves the Day. This is from the American Girl collection. I have not read anything from the American Girl collection. I know it is beloved, but it is a generational thing that is after me. This is book 5 of the American Girl Molly series. It's 88 pages, and I can read you the wee little blurb for here. By the way, I love the cover. Molly loves Camp Gowangan. Well, that was a mouthful. From the moment she arrives. She spends 2 wonderful weeks there singing, hiking, and canoeing with Linda and Susan. When the camp director announces the color war, Molly is afraid that the fun may end. Molly and Susan are on Team Blue. They have to capture the flag hidden on the Chocolate Drop Island by the red team. Linda is on the red team. She is their enemy and their friend. Will the color war ruin camp for everyone? Or can Molly think of a way to save the day? That sounds like fun. Okay, next up would be Lucy's current favorite book. That would be Mind the Gap by Erin Magnum. This is Christian fiction. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. It's 305 pages, and I will read you a little bit of the blurb. It is young adult fiction, young adult Christian fiction. The best thing to do when all of your dreams get crushed? Pack your bags and head to London. Kate Macon has spent her entire life preparing to be a teacher, and 6 weeks into her dream come true, everything crashes and burns thanks to budget cuts and a hiring freeze. With nothing but bowls of cookie dough and Pride and Prejudice marathons to look forward to, it's not a hard decision when her grandmother calls and invites her on a trip to London. I know Lucy can't stop talking about this book, so if you like young adult Christian fiction, Lucy highly recommends this book. Next up would be Miriam, one of Miriam's current favorite books, and that would be Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have not read any Gaskell yet, but knowing how much Miriam loves Elizabeth Gaskell and Madeline over at Cozy Cottage Chapters loves this book too, I need to pick up Gaskell. So this one is 596 pages, and I will read you the blurb. Wives and Daughters is Elizabeth Gaskell's last novel. Widely considered her masterpiece, it follows the fortunes of 2 families in 19th century rural England. At its core are family relationships: father, daughter, and stepmother, fathers and sons, father and stepdaughter, all tested and strained by the romantic entanglements that ensue. Despite its underlying seriousness and the prevailing tone is one of comedy. Gaskell vividly portrays the world of the late 1820s and the forces of change within it. And her vision is always humane and progressive. The naturalist son welcoming the new world of science, the local doctor and his scheming second wife, with the 2 girls brought together by their parents' marriage. So that is Miriam's current favorite and one I need to read. Next up is one of Taylor's current favorites. That is A Brilliant Night of Stars and Ice by Rebecca Conley. This is the true story of the only ship that answered the distress call of the sinking Titanic. And this one is 304 pages. And I'll read you a little bit of this blurb. Shortly after midnight on April 15th, 1912, the captain of Carpathia, Arthur Rostron, is awakened by a distress signal from the RMS Titanic, which has struck an iceberg on its maiden voyage. Though information is scarce, Rostron leaps into action, determined to answer the call for help. But the Carpathian is more than 4 hours away, and there are more questions than answers. Will his ship hold together if pushed to never-before-tested speeds? What if he also strikes an iceberg? And with the freezing temperatures, will there be any survivors by the time the Carpathian arrives? Kate Connolly is excited to join her sister in America and proud to be traveling on the Grand Titanic. is a third-class passenger. She's among the last to receive instruction and help after Titanic hits an iceberg. Despite the chaos of abandoning ship, Kate is able to reach the upper decks and manages to board a lifeboat. Though after seeing the Titanic sink into the abyss and hearing the cries from the hundreds of people still in the water, she wonders if rescue is even possible. Told in alternating chapters from both Captain Rostron on the Carpathia and Kate Connolly on the Titanic, this historic novel is a compelling, heart-pounding account of two eyewitnesses to an epic disaster. Rostron's heroic and compassionate leadership, his methodical preparations for rescue, and his grit and determination to act honorably and selflessly to save the lives and care for the survivors sets the course for this awe-inspiring story. I know Taylor really loved it, so there you go. There are some books from my friends for International Friendship Day. That concludes the July tag, and I am looking forward to July very much. I hope you will join us on Discord for Love in the Eternal City, for book club, and I hope you guys enjoy your 4th of July. I hope July treats you well, and I hope you found something new to read. Please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.